As you see with the title, this is story time. Not just story time, but my real life. And I shared with you all a few videos when I was doing my makeup that I was actually going to go through, how I actually found out that my husband at the time, which is my husband, how I found out how he was cheating on me. While I was doing this, I decided to put on the recorder and go over something that happened to me many years ago, but I caught my husband at the time cheating on me, and how did I find out? So that's what I want to talk to you. So it's story time, but it is very much real, my real life. Now, the reason why I'm going to share, not to just reveal all my business, I'm not going to call his name or anything like this, because this is not a bashing session. This is really, it's for me to encourage someone that's maybe going through it right now, or maybe you're in a relationship and you see some signs and you don't want to address it. You don't want to face it because, I love him, and you get into a marriage that blows up in your face. So I wanted to take this time to, share with you what personally happened to me. And it was traumatic. It was very, get into everything. I'm gonna sit down. What I'm doing as I'm talking to you guys, and hopefully I can stay focused enough to get this done. But this pillow I did maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And a lot of time you will see it sitting right over there. This is my real life lifetime story. This happened when my daughter was like a few months old, maybe 2 or 3 months old, when I found out what was going on. I had a feeling that something was going on, but I didn't have any proof. Okay. So at this time, when I had my daughter, I resigned from my job. I was working at Frito-Lay at the time, back home. Frito-Lay back in those days it's probably still a really good job, but it was a really good job, paid really good money. So that's why I was working. So after I had my daughter, he told me, hey, just go ahead and quit your job. And also I helped him got a job at Frito-Lay as well. Okay. So after I had our daughter, he was like, well, you could just go ahead and quit. And honestly, I wanted to stay home, so I'm not putting it on him. I wanted to stay home. This is my first child, so I wanted to be there every step of the way. Okay. So, so he was like, well, you could just go ahead and quit. So I did. So one day, when once you have a baby, people start coming over and stuff like that. So this young lady, we were work friends, I'll put it like that, because we never went anywhere. She came over to see my babies, to see my daughter. And so as she was sitting there talking to me or whatever, and her name was Rose. Yes, that's her real name. But anyway, so she came over, really nice young lady. We, talk about the Lord and all those things. And so she said, Cynthia, I want to tell you something, but I really don't know how to tell you. Now, Rose, like I said, she worked at Frito-Lay as well. She worked in my department. My husband, ex-husband right now, now he worked in the warehouse, but everybody knew him. Okay, everybody knew him. So, and so when she came over, I said, okay, go ahead. And I could tell she was really bothered. Like she didn't know how to tell me, but she wanted me to know. And I'm like, just go ahead. And so she said, well, I just want you to know that I've been seeing your, I ain't gonna say his name, I've been seeing him at work talking to this woman. She told me the girl name and everything. And I knew the girl. I knew her. And she said, well, I see them all the time, just really just talking and laughing in the break room or whatever. And she said, I've seen him like share food with her. And, I kind of stopped. I'm like, the food that I make for him, because I used to, cook, clean, wash clothes, everything to make sure that, the house was taken care of. So I would cook like meals, because he ate, so for me to, so he could have lunch, dinner, whatever. So I didn't fix, okay. I cooked. These were home cooked meals, and I would pack his lunch box, and he had one of these big ones. I put snacks in there, all kind of stuff, because I wanted him to, to have something to eat if he wanted. She told me that those sandwiches, or sometimes I'll fix him a sandwich for his break, but then he would have an actual meal for his lunch. But she was telling me that he was sharing the food that I made from my house. He was giving it to her. So they were sitting there eating the food, laughing and hee and ha. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I know you playing. She said, no, I'm not. And so at this time, again, I knew something was going on, because he worked at night, so he came home, and so he was late, sometime he is. So I'm like, what's going on? I could tell that he was bothered. And I said, what's wrong with you? He was like, a coworker was killed in a car accident. I'm like, what? But he never said who the person was. And I just thought it was a guy that worked with him. And I didn't know who it was. Well, it was the girl that he was sharing meals with, had an entanglement with. Okay. At the time, I didn't know it was her. But I knew something was going on, because we were, got ready for bed or whatever. And I realized all night long he was just bothered. He was tossing and turning, he was up, so I could tell, my senses started telling me, okay, something else is going on. Because he was really troubled. And he's the type of person, whatever's going through, he don't seem to allow it, especially when it was happening to me. It didn't seem like it really bothered him. So when I saw that he was really just troubled, and I'm like, okay, something else is going on. Okay, something else going on. So that morning, we get up, I cook breakfast, and he said, well, I'm getting ready to go, and I can't remember exactly where he went, but he said he was getting ready to go somewhere. So before he left, I said, let me ask you something. I said, I just need, because my spirit is telling me something that's going on. He was like, what are you talking about? And I said, you told me a coworker was killed in a car wreck coming to work, right? He was like, yeah. I said, who is it? Who was it? Was it, a woman, a man? Who was it? And so he began to tell me that it was this young lady. Again, I knew her. Actually, we went to Gordon College together. That's the first time I met her. And so she ended up working there at Frito-Lay. I was already working there. And so he told me who she was, and everything. And so I'm like, what? So I said, well, I understand that, yeah, she lost her life, and I'm sorry about that. I'm like, but something is going on. Were you having a relationship with her? He was like, what do you mean? I said, like I said, you don't typically let things get to you. Okay? And I told him, I said, you don't. Because at 5 months, my daughter was diagnosed with a issue, And thank God, what they diagnosed her with, she did not have it. But at the time, it was devastating. You know, I'm 5 months pregnant. I'm going to take different tests or whatever. And this test come back that it was, you know, that this was going on with my daughter. Not going into all that. And so I was devastated. And so when I was telling him, he just got up and he left the house. I'm sitting there just crying and just hysterical because I just got this shocking news, and he just up and left. And I know some people, they don't know how to deal with stuff, but you know, you're going through something like that, you need someone, especially your husband, to be there with you. But anyway, so he just really wasn't naturally let things bother him. And so that's why I was like, okay, something else is going on. I ain't, you know, I ain't stupid. I know something else is going on. And so when I asked him that, I'm like, did y'all, you know, were you involved with her or whatever? And he was like, well, you know, she's my friend. I said, okay, well, I understand that, but I want to know, did you have a relationship with her? Because for you to be all upset, I never saw him cry, but you know, him crying and going on, I'm like, okay, something else is going on. He was like, well, I could have if I wanted to. Something like that. Something real crazy. I'm like, okay, I know you could have. Like, we all can do that. I want to know, did you have a relationship with her? And at the time, he said, well, we were just, we just were close. He kept saying they were close. Now, she was married as well. She was married as well. So, I said, okay. And so at this time, he was like, I don't want to sit here and talk about this. And he just left. Got up, left the house. And I'm fuming because I'm like, okay, I know something going on now. Fast forward, like I was telling you about the girl that came to the house to see Olivia. So she began to tell me that he was actually sharing his food with this same woman that was killed in a car accident going to work. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. She said he used to, sit up there and share his food with her. And like I said, I'm like, the food that I cooked and slaved over, my groceries, and you telling me that he's sharing lunch with her? She was like, yeah. And she said, girl, she said, when we found out that she was killed coming to work in a car accident, they said that, my husband at the time, that he was so distraught that he was falling out on the floor. He left, went to the emergency room where she was, went there. They said that he was just screaming. He was crying more than the husband was. They said that he was just falling apart. What? She's like, yeah. She said they said that he was just falling apart. And I know it was true. Like I said, how he was acting that night, I knew something was going on. I knew it was somebody that he truly cared for. So I said, I know you got to be kidding. Now, mind you, while she was there, he wasn't there. So when he got home, he couldn't get there fast enough. Because at that time, we didn't have like cell phones. It was cell phones around, but we didn't have one. But he had a pager. So I would page him. He never would call me back. Which, that wasn't the first time that he did stuff like that. He used to do that all the time, but he didn't call me back. So I'm like, okay. So when he got home, I began to tell him what this young lady said. And he was like, well, we were just really close friends, and I could share things with her, and she shared things with me. I'm like, but you sitting there with her all in the corner talking and he and ha ha, and you sharing the meals that I made for you, you sharing it with her, another woman. Mm-mm. And so he was like, well, like I said, we were friends, and it was, and I really cared for her. And if I wanted to have a relationship with her, I could have. I said, so did you? I'm still asking, so did you? But he wouldn't ever say yes or no. Well, he just kept saying, well, I could have. So I'm distraught. But I knew, honestly, before she even came over, something was going on, because it's just the way that he leave. When it's time for him to come home, because he worked second shift. He worked second shift, yeah, at Frito-Lay. And so, I know what time he is supposed to get off, so it's like hours have gone by before he get home. Even I'm paging him. I'm pregnant, so I'm paging him and all that. And I had a hard pregnancy. I mean, it was rough. And so I would page him, no response. When he finally get home, he would say, oh, I went to the gym and I worked out. So why you didn't call me and let me know that you were going to the gym after work? Well, I quickly found out that wasn't the truth. He was spending some time with her. He was like, well, I ain't got time to talk to you, about this. And, like I said, he was really upset. He was upset. I could tell that he was devastated. So what Rose had told me about how he was crying and just falling all over the floor, I knew she was telling me. She didn't have any reason to lie. She didn't. And she was the type of person, she didn't keep up a lot of mess. She wasn't into drama. Some people, they just will keep mess going. No, that wasn't her at all. She was really to herself, quiet, and I could tell she really didn't want to tell me, but she felt like I needed to know. And I was grateful that she did tell me. And so let me tell you what he told me. He told me he was going to the funeral. Mm-hmm. And he told me that he was like, well, I want you to go to the funeral with me. Are you serious? Well, I think you need to go to pay your respects. To who? To who? Yeah. That's what he told me. He wanted me to go to the funeral with him to funeralize this woman that he got entanglement with. That I did not want to go to the funeral. Why would I want to go? And that's what I'm like, are you really? I guess because he knew I just so gullible, I guess. He felt like I would just go. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to no funeral. And people looking at me like, she at this funeral and she don't have a clue that this was his entanglement. And I was like, no, sir, I'm not going. I said, honestly, you don't want me to go because I'm going to show out. And I know I was. And I'm like, you don't want me to go. You don't want me nowhere near it. And I asked him not to go. I'm like, I don't want you to go. You being involved and now, with this woman, you crying and falling all on the floor at the hospital. What is that? Well, she was, like I said, she was my friend, and, and I was really hurt by it. But I have your child and had an emergency C-section, sir, and you left me there. Say he was going, because I wanted a rocking chair. So he's supposed to be going and give me that way to this. I still ain't got no rocking chair. At the time, I called our pastor, which was his brother. Mm-hmm. And I just needed someone to talk to. I just needed. So he came over and I was telling him what was going on. And another thing that crushed me is the fact that what he told with his brother, he said, well, did you actually think that this was going to work? I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, because he's been cheating. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Huh? He been cheating. And he was like, yeah. He said, I confronted him before you all got married because one of the deacons in the church saw him riding around town in my car. It's my car, okay? My car. Riding around in a car with this woman. And I don't know if it's the same woman, but it was a woman. And he said that actually this was going on before we got married. Mm-hmm. I said, but we had marriage counseling with you. So why no one thought to tell me that this was going on? And he was like, well, I confronted him and I told him that he needed to tell you. And he told me that he told you. And I said, but he didn't tell me anything. I said, but you should, I understand that this is your brother and all that. But if you knew what was going on, you should have had, for me to be a member here, you should have had enough love for me as one of your members to tell me what he was doing and allowed me to make that decision. You all took that decision away from me because you knew what he was doing. You confronted him, but you didn't give me an opportunity to do the same. And I was so angry with him. I put him out my house. I sure did. I'm like, I cannot believe that you all knew. I'm going to church, teaching Sunday school for the kids, singing, all kind of stuff. And y'all sitting up there knowing good time well what was going on. And nobody had enough love and compassion. Now, this young lady ended up telling me, like I said, we talked at work, but it ain't like we had no, we went anywhere, we had lunch together, nothing like that. We just really, if she on her break, I'm on my break, we'll sit down and we'll, talk and whatever, that kind of thing. But you all know me. I've been going to church here for, a while, years. So, paying tithe again, all that. And I'm not here to bash the church or whatever, but they knew. They knew. And it was a small church. So if the deacon knew, you better believe everybody knew. Everybody knew. And in the fact that he's using my car, another silly thing that I did, because my mama used to tell me, don't let him get your car. But, because I trusted him, I used to let him use my car. And to find out, he around town, driving up my gas, using my car to front like it was his, I'm pretty sure, and to spend time with someone else. And I was like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. We probably had been married by that time, going on 2 years. Going on 2 years. And I was like, I could believe it, but I did not want it. I was angry with myself. I'm gonna be honest, I was angry with God. I'm like, how could you allow this to happen? And I was just hurt and devastated by what I had to go. And after I had the conversation with the pastor, his brother, and when he said that, what did you expect? And he said it because he thought I knew, and I still wanted to go ahead and get married. But you know he's a liar. And the thing about it is, guys, when I began to really think about it, he didn't do any more than I allowed him to do. Even when we were dating, I was sent something. I will, pick up something that was going on. But because I really wanted this to work, because we were engaged once before, and I found out that that he was taking money out of my account. It was my checking account. Well, I gave him, because we were engaged and we were talking about we were going to get married. We were looking at this home. We got qualified to get a brand new home. And so with this program that they had at this time, you only had to pay like a small amount of money, to close on this home, because it goes by your income and everything like that. So, so we had got approved, but we had to pay part of a fee or something like that, and it wasn't very much. It was probably like maybe $300-400. So it wasn't even $1,000. Wasn't even $1,000. So when they informed us that, hey, it's time for you all to pay this fee, I said okay, because I knew, I was working, I was putting money into the account, but tell me why when I get to the bank, the money wasn't there. Money wasn't there. But that's when I broke off the engagement, because I realized that the times, now this is before I started working at Frito-Lay. I was working at the daycare. So, I wasn't making a whole lot of money. But the money that I was making, I was putting it in the bank. So anyway, come to find out, he was taking the money out. And I said, well, where's the money? And what he was telling me is, the time he was saying that he was going to work, in my car now, he was out with his friends. That's what he said. I don't believe it. I believe that he was taking my money and spending it on someone else. And and the money was gone. So I ended that engagement. We broke up. I don't know how many months we were broken up, but then we ended up getting back together. By this time, I had my job at Frito-Lay, and then he needed a job, so I helped him get a job at Frito-Lay. Why I did that? Because by doing that, I created a lot of problems for myself, because even outside of this woman that I found out he was with, it was other women, and I guess they were just so captivated by him. I had, in this true story, one day I was in the ladies' locker room. So I don't know if I was getting ready to go. I think I was getting ready to go on break or lunch or whatever. So I went to my locker room to do something. And so this woman, which she was much older than I was, and older than him as well. But she came up to me, I mean, just bold. And she said, oh, I heard that you engaged to blah, blah, whatever. And I said, yeah. And she was like, oh, girl, I'm going to take your man. She said, I'm going to take your man. And my first mind was, knock her out. That was my first mind. But I'm like, I got this good job, and Frito-Lay did not play. You get in any kind of situation like that, and that has happened in the past, that, people get fired, you lose your good job. You gone. And so I'm like, I'm not finna lose my job because of her. So this is what I told her. I said, well, let me tell you something. You grown and he's grown. So it's nothing, what I supposed to say with it? And so I walked off. And after all this started coming back, of course you start thinking about all these things, right? You start thinking about like putting it together. That's after I found out all this stuff was going on. But when I tell you I was hurt by him, but I was devastated by his brother, which was I was pastor. We did marriage counseling. He's the one that married us. I said, it is not right that you did not give me the opportunity to make a decision for myself. You took my right, and because he said that he told me, and you knew, you can't trust him, but that's what you went by. I'm standing up there, get married, and then find out after I've had our child that he was cheating all along. Like I said, even before we got married, he was, and like I said, it couldn't have been the same woman because he wasn't even working at Frito-Lay at the time. So it had to be someone else. It wasn't her. It wasn't her. So this was his thing. I had no clue. Like I said, when we broke up the first time, and hey, people say if they'll lie, they'll steal, they'll kill, they'll do all that. And because like I said, I was very upset. And I even told his brother what he had done, when he took the money and everything, and because I was in the church then, and so he that was his opportunity to tell me then. Well, sister, he ain't only doing this, he doing this and this and this. But ain't nobody told me nothing. So the money that we needed to get this home, of course, I broke it off. But we didn't get the home. The money was gone, and me being silly, why did I even go back with that? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not here to bash him because a lot of things he did, I allowed it. Because as women, you have that intuition in your pit of your stomach, Holy Spirit telling you something ain't right, and we just don't want to listen. Or we feel like, well, when we get married, it's going to get better. But let me tell you something, ma'am, sir, whomever listen to this, it's not. Actually, it's going to get worse. And if I had an opportunity, if I knew and made the decision not to continue with it, but again, that was taken from me, so I did not have that opportunity. I didn't have that opportunity to say, no, I don't want to continue with this, and, didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue because the people that knew and should have had my best interests at heart, they didn't. They did not. And so, I'm like, I was very, very angry and very disappointed. And of course, after that, I stopped going to that church. I didn't stop my walk with Christ, even though I was angry, with the situation. Honestly, I was angry with God. I'm like, how in the world did I miss this? But again, I had to end up thinking about the times, the stuff that I did know. The lies that I did catch them up in. And I didn't address that. And I guess now, mind you, I'm in my early 20s. So it's not like, oh, I just needed somebody. I was in love with him. I wanted it to work. But I know if I would have known then what was going on, I wouldn't have. Because I'm not sharing nobody. I wasn't going to share nobody. But after that, after I confronted his brother told me that. I put him out my house because I was yelling. I was screaming, I was crying. We weren't praying. And I was just so upset. And I got my stuff, got my baby stuff, and we left. And I went to my mom's house. And honestly, when I left, I thought that this was going to wake him up, that he will, like come, come get his family. Mm, that ain't how it worked. He was ready for that to be over. He was ready for that to be over because it did not happen that way. And honestly, it didn't need to, because at that point in time, I would have tried my best to forgive him and to keep my family together, because I never saw myself going through a divorce, being a single mom. I mean, I'm like, are you serious? I have an infant. I had no money. The only job is what he had. And mind you, when I went to resign from my job, my manager, and I really think she knew, because she kept questioning me. Do you really want to give up your job? Because at that moment, I was doing so well in my job. She was trying to get me in. They have a management program. And so she was telling me that she was going to help me get into this program. And so when I came to tell her, that I'm going to stay home with my daughter, and she kept saying, are you sure? Just take some more time. You're doing really good, blah, 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 whatever. She's real sweet lady. And I'm like, no, I'm going to stay home. And we discussed it, and we think that's the best thing to do. And mind you, being a first-time mom, I want to be there every time she closed her eyes, open her eyes, or whatever. I want to be there. So, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And it's just a way, but I didn't pick up on it then. I didn't pick up on it. But the way that she kept questioning me about it, she knew. She knew something. And she didn't know how to tell me. Ain't her responsibility to tell me. But honestly, the young lady that came to my house and told me, yeah, I was devastated. But I was very appreciative that she took the time to tell me what was going on, and the people that should have told me before I even got to that point. Because the only good thing that actually came out of that is our daughter. The best thing, I mean, and after that, I went through so much. I went through depression, because I could not believe that I was here. I'm here? I never saw myself as, be a single parent, who get married to get a divorce. Not me. And honestly, we were separated for like another two and a half years. We were separated before we end up getting a divorce. And even then, now even then, when separated for 2.5 years, I'm still trying to, like I said, I had to start back working to provide for me and my daughter. And during those 2.5 years, we kept saying we were going to get back together, we're going to work it out. So back and forth. So this is what he told me. Let me go back up. We did get back together. We had been separated for like 6 months or so. We ended up getting back together for a few months. By this time, he had lost the apartment, because the apartment was in my name. It was my apartment. Why I left, and I guess I left because, again, I thought that he was going to run behind us, and come and get his family, and it did not work that way. So I went and stayed with my mom, and but after we got back together, by that time, he lost the apartment, because he got fired from Frito-Lay, and he got fired, and so we ended up moving in his grandmother's. She had passed away. We moved in it was a small old house, and we moved in to that house. And I couldn't trust him, because every time he walked out the door, I knew it was a lie. I just knew it was a lie. I knew, he was still out there doing his own thing, and I just could not get past it. I really couldn't. I tried. I really did. I really tried, because I wanted my daughter to have both of her parents. But guys, and I know we do this all the time, but I had to realize that, at that time she was young, but as she getting older, she would have picked up on what, all that I was going through, and would think that was okay. And I did not want her to think that. I had to, because for a long time I did not know my worth. And I believe that's why I got into it, because I did not know my worth. And when you really sit back and look at a situation, you've been cheated on, most of the time we don't know our worth. Like I said, I'm not here to bash him or to say, all men cheat or blah, blah, blah. No, that's not, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I don't even believe that if a person cheat, he or she will forever be a cheater. I don't believe that. Because you have your own will. Ain't nobody making you do nothing. But for a long time, I felt that it was my fault. That's what the enemy will make you feel like. It's your fault. It's something that you did. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You didn't give him what he needed to keep him. And as I'm gonna say about women, because I'm a woman, okay, we will have a tendency of looking at ourselves and saying that, okay, they walked out, and they will tell you, oh, I did this because you didn't do such. That's a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. Okay? No. Don't. And for a long time, I took that. Even when we were separated, I felt less than a woman for a long time. And, I say this a lot of time, like when people are like, don't you want to be in your 20s? I'm like, no, because I went through hell in my 20s. I went through hell with that situation. It was so traumatic. I remember, being a single mom, and I used to say all the time, I can't do this. I would just sit and cry, and I was just so depressed. Sometimes I didn't want to get out of bed, and I would just, thank God I did have a child, because by me having her, made me fight, made me get up and fight for myself, for my sanity, to get up, to keep going on with life. So I thank God that I did have her. I told my daughter, I said, so many times, as kids, and God know what you need. He really does. This particular day, I was really, just really down. Just really down. My daughter Olivia at this time was probably 3 years old. I think she was 3. And I was just so down. And I was living at, actually my mom had got married, so she wasn't living there, so I had the house, so it was just me and my daughter living at the house. And getting ready to go to bed, all the lights were out, and I thought she was asleep, and she slept with me, and I thought she was asleep, and I just began to just cry. I was so broken. If I think about it now, it was just like, that moment, it was like, I can't do this. But at that moment, this little girl, she touched my hand. Now, it was dark. It was no lights on, television, nothing. We were going to sleep. And I didn't like for her to see me cry like that. So I wasn't like, anything like that, but tears just flowing. And I just felt so down. And she touched me on my hand, her little bitty hand, and she said, Mommy, I love you. And I said, I love you too. She said, you're so beautiful. And I said, thank you. And I needed to hear that at that moment. I mean, this is a 3-year-old child that began to tell me that I was worthy, that I was important. And it really helped me. And my daughter is 28 years old. And I still think about it because I needed someone at that moment to speak life into me. And even that's what she said is, I love you and you're beautiful. And it was enough for me to fight through that and go through another day without giving up. And that's why I'm doing this. Maybe you don't have anybody in your corner to say you're worthy of true love. Maybe you don't have anybody in your corner to tell you that you are beautiful, my sister. Maybe you don't have anybody, my brother, tell you that you are a great man. Maybe you don't have anybody. So I want to take the opportunity to tell you. Maybe we won't ever get a chance, an opportunity to talk to meet with you. But I hope this touched you in your heart, in your spirit, to let you know if I could go through that. And like I tell you, I could write a book. I could actually do a Lifetime movie because other things transpired as well. But the devil meant it for me to break me. And I thank God, even though I was hurt, I was angry with God, but I knew that I needed God to get through this. I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't do it on my own. And I thank God that some days were harder than others. I'm not gonna lie to you. At this time, I had got a job at Bell South. I remember this. I was at work. I was going through it. I'm very private, so people at work, they didn't know. I never shared my story with anybody at work because they didn't need to know. Some people, they would take what you going through and they would use it as a weapon to hurt you. So you can't share your story with everyone. And honestly, the only reason why I'm sharing it today because I'm whole. I'm healed. I've been healed. I was healed before I even met my current husband. And I thank God for him because he is a man of God. But the thing about it is, God is the head. I would never put anyone to be greater than God, be God to me, but my Father in heaven. That's who my God is. And I remember, because I used to say all the time, I can't do this. It's too hard. I can't do this. I can't do. I mean, I was, life and death is in your tongue. Not what someone else say about you, but what you say about yourself, your own situation. Life and death is in your tongue. Watch what you're saying. And like I said, I was at work one day, and I was just feeling so bad. I remember going into the bathroom, and I got down on my knees. I went into the stall, and I was sitting there. I had my clothes on me. I wasn't using the bathroom. I was just sitting there on the toilet, but tears was just falling. I was so hurt. I said, Lord, this is just so hard. This is so hard. And I remember getting down in that stall on my knees, and I prayed. It was nobody else in there but me. And I began to pray. I said, Lord, I need you. This is too hard. I never thought that. In that moment, the Holy Spirit began to tell me and chastise me, why do you keep saying that? Why do you keep saying it's too hard? But then you say, I could do all things through you. I said that I would never leave you. I would never forsake you. So why do you think that I didn't leave. I didn't cheat on you. I'm still here, providing for you and your daughter. And I began to repent. And I said, Lord, forgive me. Because I did. I said it all the time. All the time. I can't do it. Even when I talked to him, crying and begging and crying, I used to say, I can't do this. I can't do this. But honey, when the Holy Spirit told me that day, you need to stop saying that. Because what you're saying is, God, you're not strong enough to handle this. This too big for you to handle. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the Holy Spirit, he'll talk to you. If you're a believer, he'll talk to you. He will talk to you. And I'm so, when he said that, like, it was like a light bulb went off of my head. And from that day until this day, I never said it again. I probably felt it in my mind, but it never came out of my mouth again. Words create. Understanding we're made in the image of God. And just like God created when he spoke the world and everything to us, when we speak something into the atmosphere, you're creating something. Good or bad, you are creating something. I remember I was talking to my mom, and as you know, I'm really close to my mom, but I was talking to her one day, and this was like, I don't know, maybe a few years ago, and I was talking to her, and we were talking about that. How you could speak something over your life and you created something and you don't even realize that you did it. Not someone else, somebody put, spell on me or whatever, but you spoke this over your life. And my mom told me, she said, when she was growing up, her sister, my aunt, she used to say, even as a teenager, she used to say, that she was going to die before my grandmother. Why she felt that way, I don't know. And I asked my mom, said she didn't know. She said, she would just always say that, I'm going to die before my grandmother. And she did. Mm-hmm. She did. She died 1 month and I think 2 days before my grandmother passed away. So, all those many years, her saying that, because I never heard her say that, but Mama said she used to say that all the time when she was, growing up. And why she felt that way, but I know from her own lips, it happened. Now, you could say something, but you have to go back and denounce those things and pull those things out of the atmosphere. You have to do it. Now, I know anyone else can't do it. You got to do it. You have to do it. You got to create those, correct what you have put in the atmosphere over your own life. Some people feel like, oh, I ain't gonna never have nothing. I ain't gonna never do this. Devil is a lie. But you're speaking it. So, some women, they feel because what they've seen even growing up, they didn't see a healthy relationship. So they feel like, oh, all the relationships gonna be bad. But sis, when you say that, now you have created this, and all the people that come into you is that kind of person. Because what? You spoke it. You spoke it. And a lot of things, even with me, as a young lady, I did not know my worth. And I have a video and I was talking about, that's one thing that I wish, that I regret, that I did not know my worth in my 20s. And some people don't know their worth and they're in their 50s, 60s. And they still don't know that they are worthy. Not their looks. Because there's some beautiful women out there and they don't know their worth. Not that they're not educated. It's some educated women, men out there. Smart. But they still don't know their worth. So, like I said, this is part of my life story, but it's not my whole story. It shaped some things in me, but what it did not break me. It did not destroy me, but it sure made me stronger. Because I didn't think I had a backbone. I didn't. But honey, I got me one. I sure did. I sure did. And I was able to live a life before my daughter to let her know what she's worth. And if you have kids, grandkids, maybe you don't have any kids, maybe you have godchildren, whatever, speak into their life and have them to repeat it. You know, we talk about, you know, affirmation and things like that. What it is you're speaking. That's what it is. You're creating. So by you speaking things over your life, that's what they're doing. They call it affirmation, but you're using those words because words are powerful. Your words can destroy or it can heal. It can heal. You know, like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not. Because I realized that he did what I allowed him to do. Why? Because I didn't know my worth. And if I knew my worth, when the first thing, well, I would have never got myself in that situation. Even for him to give him access to my account so he could go and take out all the money. And now I don't have any money. All the time that I spent working, it was gone. And I always tell my daughter, don't be a silly woman. And when I tell her that, what I mean is, don't give yourself to someone that you just, you just give yourself and you don't expect for anything in return. No, you got to tell people how to treat you. And I didn't, because I didn't know my worth. It still came back to me. I didn't know my worth. Not to say that, oh, I caused it. No, I didn't do that. But still, I did not know my worth. Fathers, daddies, if you have kids, sons and daughters, but especially daughters, it is your responsibility to speak into her life. Because if you don't, these people, they're out, and it's people out there, that's what they do. They want to prey on people. That's what they're looking for, someone weak. They're looking for a weak woman. They know that don't know their worth. That's what they after. That's what they want. Because they know, hey, I can tell her whatever. She going to believe it. She going to go for it. Whatever I tell her to do, she going to do it. Or I'm going to tell her we can't be together. And now you doing stupid stuff. Why? Because no one in their life have told them you're worthy to be loved, to be cherished, to be honored, to be respected. They haven't heard that. So because they have not heard that from the first person that should love them, their parents, that the first man should love their daughter. That should be the first person that she see how a man should treat a woman. Is how you treat her mother. Even if you're not together, don't disrespect her mother. Still show her her worth. And not only tell her, have her to repeat it. And sometimes we still forget. We still make mistakes because that's just it. Life is life. Life is gonna life. Life is life for everybody. I don't care how beautiful, how smart, how much money you got, fame and fortune. You're gonna go through something. And if you have not, baby girl and baby boy, keep living. Keep living. Keep living. And like I said, I hope, even with me sharing my story, that I'm able to encourage you to say, take back your power. Don't give your power to other people. My mama used to tell me all the time, why would you give somebody a stick to beat you with? Why? Why would you give someone, the authority over your heart, over your mind? The word says, guard your heart. Not have someone else to guard your heart. Because that, as women, that's what we think. Well, why did he do this to me? No, why did you allow it? Why did you not guard your heart? To know, okay, when you see a red flag, deal with it. Because, baby girl, it's not going to get any better. Ain't nothing that you could do. You can't look no beautiful than you look right now, my queen. Well, he gon' do better because I'm going to love him so much that he going to want to be with me. No, he ain't. No, he ain't. And he can look at like the bottom of your feet. And it's in that person. Like I said, I'm not just saying men are the only one. There's some women out there trifling. Trifling. And there's some men out there going through, have given, has been there. And to find out the person that you love out there just doing whatever they want to do. And now you sitting there with the broken pieces and devastated. But let me tell you something. With those broken pieces, gather up all your little pieces and you start again. When I got married to my husband now, hey baby, I was 38. 38. So I had lived a long time being a single mother. But the thing about it is, even though I went through that, I was still learning. God was still teaching me things. It was some things that he had to rid me of. The way that I thought about myself, other people, he had to correct my way of thinking. Okay? And a lot of times that's what gets you on this road, because you think so little of yourself. Why you think so little of yourself? You got to think about yourself like God think about you. Don't give your power to anybody. The only person that should have that kind of power is the God Almighty. That's it. He should be in control. And even though I went through that, like I said, I was saved. It wasn't like I was just going to church, giving tithes and offering and all kind of stuff, and but I still went through. Some people like, well, when you get saved, you ain't gonna go through that. Now that's a lie. But the thing about it is, it did not destroy me, and I know that if I did not have God in my life, it would have taken me out. It would have, but it didn't. And I thank God every day that I'm able to encourage other people with my story, and also to have them to open their eyes and to see, so they won't go through what I went through, that I allowed. Let me just say that I allowed. A lot of times we're like, oh, he did this and he cheated on me. But a lot of times we allow that. Because if we go back and be honest, just be really, really transparent and think about, even before you got married, did you really? Because I used to say all the time, oh, I did not know. I used to say that all the time for a long time. But hunty, one day the Holy Spirit started talking to me and started pulling up stuff in my memory bank. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I did know. I remember when I met his father told me, oh, he ain't gonna be no good to you. He just a pretty boy and he ain't gonna want to work. He ain't gonna want to do this. He ain't gonna want to do that. And I was angry with his dad. I'm like, why would he say that about you and blah, blah, blah. I felt some type of way about it. But that man was trying to help me. He was. He know his child. He knew his child. He knew his child. He was warning me. But I didn't heed the warning. This coming from his daddy. His daddy said that to me. But, I believe what he said. He was like, I just don't have no good relationship with him, blase, blase. So when he told me that, I felt some type of way about his dad. But honestly, after everything happened, I'm like, this man was trying to help me, not hurt me. He was trying to help me. He was trying to, protect me. And I didn't have a clue. But he knew. He knew. And I could say, out of everybody, he was the only one that was straight up honest with me. But like I said, he had already said so many things about his dad and his, this. So I had already made up my mind that, his dad just being nasty or whatever because they don't have a good relationship. And so I believed it. And but he was honest with me. And like I said, guys, hopefully I've said something, even share with you my real story time, my lifetime story hour here. But I'm able to encourage you, to let you know that you are worthy. My sister, my brother, you are. Your life is not over. Mm-mm. It's not over unless you allow it to be your end. And you are worth, let me say it again, you are worth being loved. I mean, like really being loved. Not this false kind of love that you don't know, you can't trust them. No, you are worth being respected, being honored, being cherished, being, put before all this other stuff. That's what you worth. And don't accept. And if that person can't give you that, that's the wrong person, boo. That's all that is. It ain't got nothing to do with you. That's just the wrong person. End it. Go on about your life. And I'm not here advocating to, get a divorce, but I'm saying before you get married and all that, you need to see it for what it is. See it for what it is. Pray about it. Talk to other people. Open your eyes. Ask God to reveal some things to you so you could see it clear. Do not end up in a situation that I went through. Because I didn't have to go through it, honestly. But I was blind. I was blind because I wanted to be blind. Huh? I was blind because I wanted to be blind. I don't know. I start talking to you all. I just really get so passionate about helping someone. But you got to love yourself as well. That's where you fall short. You don't love yourself. You don't love yourself. Your love and your worth come from someone else. No, it need to start with you, sister girl. It need to start with you, bruh man. Okay? It need to start with you. You need to be whole. Now, he complete me. He made me whole. Stop saying that. No, you need to be complete and whole before that man or that woman come in your life. Get it together. You get it together. Take some time. If you have gone through this, or maybe you're going through it right now, the hurt and the pain, don't jump into anything else. Take some time to really think about what you have gone through. Because better, if you learn from this, better is coming. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we don't never get to better because we still focus on what happened. So we're always looking behind, so we never see what God had before us, which is again, if you don't have anyone to tell you that, let me say it. And I need for it to go in your spirit down to your shana now. That you are, look at me, that you are worthy to be loved, respected, love, not they loving you to get something. No, they love you. The good, the bad, the flaws, they love you. And it's somebody that will love you. And so, like I said, I just wanted to take time to just encourage. If this is your first time even ever joining me, looking at this video, before you leave, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I don't know what you're waiting for. Go ahead, because I have other things that I want to share with you. You know, to encourage. Like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. So if you know me personally, don't go and start trying to, you know, find this and find. Don't do that. Don't do that, because I'm healed. I'm healed and whole. Praise God. Yes, I'm stronger. I'm better. Because, you know, whatever the devil thought meant for evil, God would take that same mess and bless you with. Huh? Don't tell me he won't. Because I know he will. He will. Yeah, sometimes life will have a way of bending you, but don't break. Oh Lord, I thought I was gonna break. I thought that was like it was gonna be, you know, the end. But yeah, I had some moments that it was bending me, but it never broke me. Praise God. It never broke me. That's why I'm here today. That's why, you know, I like to take opportunity to speak into your life, because I know what I have gone through. Okay. So again, if this is your first time, or maybe you have, you know, looked at other videos and you kind of, you know, still on the fence about, you know, do I want to become a member of this really great tribe, which is the Royal Nation, or I don't? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's why you keep on coming back and looking at the videos. I have so many things, you know. I talk about everything on my channel. I talk about makeup. I talk about adhesive-free wigs. I talk about skincare for the mature woman. I talk about, you know, I have some comedy here as well, because I love to laugh. Laughter is just like medicine. And also I talk about menopause. I talk about my health. I talk about things that, you know, I'm going through in that area of my life as well, because, you know, we're going through different things, and we all need someone to come up, you know, beside us, to encourage us, to uplift us. So that's what I want to do for you, is to uplift you. And I know you guys, you do that for me. I get your comments, and I truly, truly appreciate. Like I always say, wear your crown with confidence. And until next time, I love you. Bye.